How's it going? Today we are talking about a personal pet peeve of mine. This is Austin Bristow with Design for Discipline, and today I want to share with you something that drives me absolutely crazy. And that is when I catch myself making excuses. I know this sounds kind of crazy, but for me, I've found over the course of time that when I start making excuses or rationalizing why I've either let somebody down, missed a deadline, or not followed through on something that I would say, it ends up hurting my credibility in the long run. Now, this started back in high school with one of my coaches. He expected us to basically admit what we did, take his coaching, and then apply it to the next time we ran a play or did a drill. You were just expected to get better. He realized that nobody was ever going to be perfect all the time, but the expectation was know what you did wrong and then know how to fix it. So what I want to share with this video is two things. The first is how I try to not make excuses when I do mess up. And the second is why I think not making excuses actually helps us build relationships with the people around us. So the first thing we'll talk about are the three simple steps I try to use to not make an excuse. The first is just to admit what I did. Let's say, for example, it's 3:45 on Friday. I have a report due for work at 4 o'clock, and I'm just not going to make it. It would be up to me. The first thing I would do then is just go to my boss and say, hey, boss, I know this has been on the calendar. The report's due at 4 o'clock. There's no chance I'm going to have it done by 4 o'clock today. That's the first thing I would do, is just simply admit what I did wrong. The second thing I would do is literally say the words, I'm sorry, apologize for it. And the third step in not making an excuse, for me, is usually the hardest. This is where I have to just close my mouth. Because it's in this third step where usually I would start rationalizing or start making excuses or reasons for things that something happened. Now, I understand in some instances, life happens. Things get in the way. There are reasons that we miss appointments or we miss deadlines and we let people down from a commitment that we had made for them. However, more often than not in my own life, it's usually my fault if I really go back and look at how I analyze something. So by not making an excuse, it allows me the opportunity to build the relationship with the person that I'm talking to or that I've potentially let down. And if we go back to the work example, we'll explain the reason why. So for me, in that third step, when I'm closing my mouth, that provides, in this case, my manager the chance to take over the talking. If I'm unlucky, he's going to light into me and say, man, this is the third or fourth time this has happened. This is going on your review. Your bonus is going to go down next year. You keep it up like this and you're not going to have a job in 6 months. That would be a worst case scenario. But in a best case scenario, my boss could say something to the effect of, hey, this is the third or fourth time this happened. It's uncharacteristic for you. Is there something going on? And this is where I have to be careful to not start making reasons or rationalizations or excuses. But I could go to him and say, hey, you know what? I realize we're all busy. This is a busy time of year for the company. I know we've all taken on some new projects since whatever reorganization happened. And the thing I'm struggling with, so I'm taking responsibility for it, the thing I'm struggling with is figuring out how to prioritize the projects and the reports that I need due. So is there any chance on Monday morning I could come in, we could create a list of all the things that I have due on a regular basis, and you could help me prioritize them and get an idea for how long they should be taking me to finish so that I can make sure I'm meeting deadlines moving forward. So in that instance, I have gone and totally flipped the situation. I've taken complete responsibility for it, but I've said, hey, you're my boss. I believe you know how to do this better than me. Can you help me grow as a professional? And in that instance, hopefully your manager is going to be open to doing something like that. You're not placing the blame on accounting or your coworker or the other person who was out on vacation so they couldn't give you the information you needed for the report. I've gone and said, this is on me. I want to get better at what I'm doing. Will you help me get better? So not making an excuse is a three-step process, but it also gives us the chance to build the relationships with people around us. For me, my personal belief is that if I'm going to take the blame, I have to be willing to potentially take the heat. But my hope in the long run is that if I'm willing to take the blame, I'm also willing to take coaching from people and become a better individual. And it's at that point we start to build credibility with people around us and start to create really strong relationships with those people that we work with or interact with on a regular basis. That's all I've got for today. So I guess my challenge is if there are instances where you feel like you want to make an excuse or start putting reasons behind maybe a mistake that you made, try not to. Try to make it an opportunity for dialogue and conversation if it's something that you find yourself doing on a regular basis, and see if the person you're talking to can't find some way to help you grow as an individual also. That's all I've got for now. Thanks for tuning in, and we will talk to you again soon.